Welcome to Freed on Business. He grew up in South Florida, has been in business here since the early 90s, and has closed over $3 billion in deals. He's seen it all. He always has an opinion, and he's always ready to share it. Informed, entertaining, and connected, he has his finger on the pulse of South Florida's business community. He's Jim Freed, and this is Freed on Business.
All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Freed on Business. We have one of my favorite guests as we head towards show 800. We've got KC Conway on. He's the premier real estate economist that I've run into in my long and storied career in real estate. I want to thank our friends at Warren Henry. They've been a sponsor for probably 13 years at this point, certainly since episode 100, where I'm like episode 800 right now. I want to remind everybody that we're streaming live on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, I think, all the great little platforms. So without real hesitation, I just want to get right to KC. KC, where's KC, Mr. Mendoza? There he is. There he is. Welcome back, KC. It's been quite a year in real estate. I don't know what month of the real estate recession we've been in. There's a big target still on the office building market in certain sectors, or even in the hot markets, but in certain sub portions of them. Tell me, what do you see going on here in the next few months in real estate here at the end of 2024, and what do we see rounding into 2025? There's the pitch right over the plate, Mr. Conway. Just hit the ball.
So the three big things on my horizon that I'm watching right now that affect everything, the whole world will stop. So number one is, most people think the election's over and we elected a president. You think that, Jim? We didn't.
We selected a leader of the free world. We really don't talk about politics. We have talked about the tax policy that he's got coming up, which seems to be, somewhat complex, but keeps a status quo in place, which I think people like the status quo. But from what I can see, the yield curve is curving up, and there's a reason for that. In economics, we call it crowding out.
Yeah. Well, here's the real thing. The founding fathers thought the American people, the public, were too stupid to elect the president. So they created this thing called the Electoral College. And they elect the president. And they don't meet until January 6th. So I don't know what the hell this thing was in November, right? Earlier in the month. It's January 6th, and the last January 6th was pretty interesting. So don't quit holding your breath. We have January 6th ahead of us. We'll have to see what the Electoral College does, because they don't have to vote the way their popular vote does. They could change their mind. So that could be interesting. And then once we get through that, January 15th, we have a whole East Coast and Gulf Coast port strike. So the guys timed out the strike during Hurricane Helene and Milton because they didn't want to be the bad guys not letting everything get resupplied from the hurricane. So they said, if you give us a 60% raise, we'll time out until January 15th. All right. So what's the problem? They want to stop port automation. It's cost too many jobs. So it's all about automation. I don't think it's going to be a 1 or 2 day strike. I think it's going to be weeks or months. And this could be very disruptive. So buy whatever you think you need, toilet paper, tires for the car, get all that stuff stockpiled before January 15th. And then, we got to figure out what the Fed's going to do. They don't know what the hell they're going to do. Remember they went to transitory longer. Forget we ever said transitory. Then remember last December, they said, hey, we're going to give you 5 rate cuts in 2024. 9 months later, none. Then they did a 50 basis point cut, then a 25. Well, they say they're data dependent and they thought all their data was good. Well, guess what? They're going to be data confused. The hurricanes have disrupted so much of the labor and GDP data that none of it is going to make any damn sense. So what's the Fed? They're going to be data confused, not data dependent. So we're going to have to go back to our core convictions and our core data, like the U-Haul moving report that we'll get the first week of January to tell us everybody moved to Florida and Texas, and we'll all be okay, right, Jim? So those are the big ones, and we know office is a problem, but we'll move on from that.
KC, I alluded to a little bit about the crowding out effect of the entitlements and tax cuts that are coming down the road. Will inflation come back?
Definitely. So think about it. You can't have a Hurricane Katrina event. Helene and Milton were a Hurricane Katrina. 4 states massively affected. So supply, material, labor disruption. We saw the latest jobs report. There were only 12,000 jobs created. You believe that? You believe we only created 12,000 jobs? Hell no. They didn't know where to count them. They told us the month before they couldn't count 812,000 of the jobs that they said we had, that confused the Fed and made them do the 50 basis point cut. So it's going to be a lot of data confusion, a lot of inflation. Materials are going to be going up. And a lot of the things that the Fed doesn't look at, they say, well, forget housing inflation. It's no big deal. We'll just ignore that. Forget food inflation. Egg prices are up 30%. Forget medical inflation. Forget services inflation. We have very real inflation. They haven't fixed the inflation problem at all. So are they going to lie to us? Are they going to pause? Are they going to go back to their jump rope monetary policy? It was hike, then skip, hike, skip. Now it's going to be, okay, cut. Nope, go back, hike and pause. They don't know these idiots don't know what the hell they're doing. This is the worst Fed we've ever had.
Now, what about the potential sales tax that they're looking more, that they're calling a tariff, and more of an inward turn towards the U.S.? We'll call it economic isolation. Some people call it reshoring, nearshoring, in-town, manufacturing. What's up with that?
So just go back and look at when Trump did this in Trump White House 1.0, and we had the tariffs and we thought everything was going to blow up. What did the manufacturers in Asia and everywhere else that were targeted with tariffs do? The tariff only applies to where the last component of assembly occurs. So if you're China making cars, you put the wheels on in South Korea, or you put them on in Mexico, and there's no tariff that's applied. So we're going to have all this gamesmanship where the last component of assembly will be in a non-tariff impacted country, and we won't really have tariffs. That's what happened last time.
I love that. Thank you. That's like a real news nugget. So what is a good real estate play for inflation?
Well, still, if you can get a house and a mortgage, residential is very strong. The other thing I like is things that have a good adaptive reuse potential. So my big thing I've been doing most of this past year has been called the retail small box apocalypse. Drugstores, dollar discount stores, now restaurants, all these branch banks, all these things that are great locations, that have great repurpose, but the current use is going away. Whether it's Rite Aid, CVS, Walgreens, they're all going away. We're gonna go away. What do we do with these things? Well, I'm seeing all kinds of things. I'm seeing BP come in and buy a bunch of them and put in high-speed EV recharging with a convenience store. I'm seeing vet clinics and vet stores like in PetSmart, the Banfield, move out and go into drugstores because they're a perfect 12 to 14,000 square foot fix. I'm seeing some turned into car washes, believe it or not. Great. Office, remote office. There's tremendous opportunity. You can buy these things for under $50 a square foot, put 20 in them, and put an adaptive reuse in them, and you got $100 square foot plus asset. Great play.
And they have parking. What's the future of commercial real estate jobs?
It's going to be interesting. So those that keep their skills up to speed and can think out of the box, they get up out of the box once in a while and look around their cubicle and see what's going outside the window, they'll be okay. This AI is going to be an impact, just like it did the paralegals in the legal profession, and it's doing somewhat in the medical. Those that are low skill, that don't get out, that really don't add value to the process are gone. But those that have relationships, those that understand the real estate, those that can connect dots are will excel, like this adaptive reuse thing. We've talked about it before. I wrote that paper 5-7 years ago with CCIM Institute, and the idiots still didn't do much with it.
Human adaptive reuse. I love it. Listen, we've got just a couple more minutes in this segment. Then we're going to go to a break, and then we'll come back for your bottom line. What's your big thought leader concept about real estate today?
So this is one of those tough times, right? In real estate, the people that excel, we do it when markets are turning, when they're at the bottom going up or the top going down, because you got to refigure it out. Capital's hard to find. You got to know how to put capital together. And it's not traditional. The banks all have their heads buried like ostriches in the sand, afraid to do CRE loans, afraid of their bank regulators. The Fed just put out their new state of the bank report where they said, oh my God, we're finally worried about commercial real estate. Oh my God, when did this happen? Like over the last decade or going back to 2008 or 2009. So when you can put capital together, when you can find things, when you can figure out things like how do you get property insurance because of what's happened with our property insurance rates and the reinsurance market being turned upside down, there's lots of opportunities I do most of my work now in litigation. So I wait for all those idiots to charge $5,000 to do a fast and cheap appraisal. And then I charge $25,000 to go in and make them look embarrassed when we go to trial. So you just move up the food chain.
That's tremendous. We're going to take a quick break. Then we're going to come back with KC Conway, real estate thought leader and economist, chairman of KCnomics. We'll be right back after this short break for the bottom line. Thanks for everything, Casey. Boy, that was the fastest 10 minutes in real estate. Mr. Mendoza, it's yours. Oh, that interlude is a good tip on what I'm going to ask Mr. Conway about after we come out of the break. I want to thank our sponsors. We're heading into show 800. It's coming up in the next couple of weeks. I want to thank our sponsors for well over a decade and personal family friends at this point. Larry, Warren, Eric Day, the Zinn family, all our friends in the sales and service department of Warren Henry who treat us like family. Yesterday, I ran into somebody that was looking for a long, significant career. They didn't go to high school, and I'm referring them to Warren Henry because they were a terrific service provider, customer service provider. And great to be part of the Warren Henry family for all these many years. I want to remind everybody, if you're looking to buy or lease a car, you want to get every advantage that you can. That's why I have to go to Warren Henry, Land Rover, Range Rover, Infiniti, Jaguar, and Lincoln up at 151st and Biscayne. And my favorite town, Gainesville, they sell Audis. Down in the Keys, they've got a store that sells all the great nameplates. Down in South Dade, their award-winning Land Rover, Range Rover store, and of course their new Land Rover, Range Rover store out in West Broward. What do all these stores and all these products have in common? Well, they're all great cars. They come with the Warren Henry Advantage. It's a list of great features that you get when you buy your Warren Henry car. My favorite is the service. I get a service loaner. I get honest opinions and great insight to what's going on. They take really good care of me, and I love bringing in my car because they always, the service guys love my car. They always want to buy my, I think it's a Q60, Q7, Q6, I forget. It's all these numbers. It's the last sedan they're ever going to make that's a gas car. So all the service guys love it. They treat it like gold. They treat me like gold. My beautiful wife like gold. My mom like gold. All my friends go there. My clients. So remember, always the best price, always the best service. Always Warren Henry. All right, we're back with KC Conway, my favorite real estate visionary, economist, thought leader, and all-around good buddy. Mr. Mendoza, can you please produce Mr. Conway again? There you go. I love it when he pushes that button. Now, I teased that you were going to give the bottom line, but then I had a question that came up in my mind as we were going out. What do you think about there's two segments to the real estate multifamily market I want to talk about for just a second. There's all the stuff upstate, the build to rent, and the workforce apartment market seems to be softening in some places. And then I want to discuss the high-rise condo and high-rise apartment market here in South Florida, where they talk about affordable, but that's $500,000 to $750,000 per unit now.
Yeah. Multifamily is going to be fine. The problem that we've got in multifamily is that all this stuff and these construction loans were underwritten 2 to 4 years ago at 4 cap rates, 4 to 6% rent growth. And now we've got 6 cap rates. We have 2%, if you're lucky, rent growth. And our expenses like property insurance and property taxes have gone up 30 to 40%. So your NOI isn't where it needs to be. The cap rate isn't where it's going to be. And guess what? To refinance out, you need either the Fed to allow the banks to kick it down the road, underwrite to pro forma rents down the road sometime, or you need a boatload of equity in the deal. We need that housing. We need more. The permits have been cut way down. We're a year away from the overbuilding story being gone and out of there, but we've got a capital gap. So Jim, where's the solution on the capital gap? That people got to pull their heads out of something. and figure out how you put the capital back in the asset. The office is a long slog, long tough road. Industrial's doing fine. Retail is a great story. I recently did an analysis in the Denver market, and I can only find one empty big box store in the entire market. All of the stuff's been repurposed, redone. But the small box now is where we're at. What do we do with the drugstores? What do we do with all of these smaller 10 to 15,000 square foot boxes and the opportunities? But retail's not a horrific story, but the banks are afraid of it. They don't understand what to do with it. And then you got, the other assets, land, the residential, build to rent or alternative affordable. I'm on the board of directors for a public REIT, UMH, where we do manufactured home communities. And we're just crushing it every quarter. It's the only place you can still get an under $200,000 home. We've developed with partners like Naveen in Florida. They've survived hurricanes going over them, just knocked down a few palm trees. They're an incredible story. We've got to figure this affordable housing situation out. We need to get, kind of the government out of the way. Federal government can't tell local government what to do. So local government NIMBYs don't want affordable. We got to figure out how to get across that bridge and get over it. But it's going to mean things that most people don't want. It means higher density. Is going to be one option. And then how do we use adaptive reuse to repurpose assets that are beyond their first life cycle, and maybe we can put their second life cycle to work in residential.
I think that all kind of ties into more scattered city states, urban cores that are vertically integrated. That addresses the traffic concern of the higher density. And as far as the Miami condo market, I just think that the Latin American buyers coming back, it seems like they're buying buildings now that have smaller units that'll turn into short-term rentals. I call those hotels. And, that's what I see. What do you see, KC?
So I asked that to my friend, the leprechaun nutcracker. So my son and I were getting him out over the holidays. So I thought for you that 2025 is going to be the Lucky Charms year. We're going to get all this stuff figured out. In the Chinese horoscope, it's the year of the snake. People are afraid of the snakes. Leprechaun, he's not afraid of snakes. He got them all out of Ireland. He's going to get all the snakes out of here. But the snake is actually a very strategic, smart thinker. And we need strategic, smart thinkers in 2025 to help us with this stuff. This is one of those times where those that have skills, those that can think and chew gum and walk backwards are going to do well and serve their clients. And so I encourage everybody, get outside of the office, go drive markets, go think about what isn't in this neighborhood that should be in this neighborhood that could maybe go in something that's empty. Get the hell out of the office and keep building those relationships.
That's a tremendous bottom line. That's a great place to leave us. I want to, KC, a quick blurb. How do people find you, get a hold of you, reach out to you? Contact information's changed. Tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, so my new company is KC Nomics LLC. So the initials KC Nomics, NOMICS LLC.com. Sometimes the email gets full or whatever. So my personal one, just for your audience, Jim, is that I've had for decades, I think, KCMAICRE@gmail.com. And my cell, I never answer the phone. Text me and then I'll call you, is 678-458-3477. Again, 678-458-3477. My millennial daughters have turned me into a millennial. I don't answer the phone. I text and do things electronically now. That's
tremendous. Well, it's a time control thing. It's really wonderful. I want to thank you for being on the show with us, as always, with the pearls of wisdom. I really, really do appreciate it. You do look angelic with the light behind you. And do you have one more nutcracker that you want to show us?
Sure. So this is the Santa Claus one with a bag of coal, and he's got a thing saying the naughty list. So if people will listen to you and your show and your advice, they won't be on Santa's naughty list, his naughty CRE list. So, and the last one I'll do is do not forget our military. So this is my U.S. Army nutcracker, and we would be screwed without our military and our first responders. So during this holiday season or during next year, if there's an opportunity to employ one, to help one get into a home or affordability situation, do not forget these guys. They make our world work.
KC, that's just wonderful. I want to thank you so much for being on the show. You're a great regular. Please stick with us after the show. There's a couple things I want to run by you that we talked about earlier before the show. I want to remind everybody you can contact me, Jim Freed at Sandstone Realty Advisors. We help families execute their business plan. If it's strategic thinking you need, we've got it. I've got plenty of gray hair on both sides. I've seen it all multiple times, and I have the ability to get people on the phone with one phone call to help you solve your problems. So give me a call also to take care of your opportunities. There are opportunities out there. We know where to look for them. We're helping people execute them all day. We've closed a number of large transactions this year, and next year shaping up to be a great year as well. I want to remind everybody that if you missed something on today's episodes, you can always check out the replay link on any of my social feeds, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, or Instagram. Look for @Jim Fried or @Fried on Business. I want to thank our sponsors, Warren Henry, Automotive, always the best price, always the best service, always Warren Henry. I want to thank our friends at the UF Bergstrom for Real Estate Studies. I'm sending students there all the time. I want to remind everybody to head over to @Jim Fried YouTube page, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you listen to your audio, and check out all of our past episodes. And I want to remind you that the person that wants to do something finds a way. The other finds an excuse. Now go out there and make it happen. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Mr. Mendoza, take it away.